Hello. Me again. Of course it's me again. If it wasn't me again, I wouldn't be able to finish the story, would I? It'd be a bit complicated if it wasn't me, wouldn't it? And it would be. Oops. Oops. There we go. You're learning how to walk. Good. Bloody accent by now. I want more of my story. This is Alice down the Plughole. Chapter 3. A Web of Intrigue. Alice opened her eyes. She could breathe easily again now. And I can see clearly too, the little girl added. In fact, Alice was very small indeed, and she was now standing inside the white porcelain bowl of the bathroom sink. Do you have to go into so much detail? This story is far too long as it is, and we are still only at the beginning, huffed Alice. How do you know that we are not at the end? Whispered a dry voice. The spider hung from a silken thread of web and a hot water tap. Who are you? And why do you have so many legs? Asked the inquisitive teenager. I only have 8 legs, insisted the spider on the web. Ah, but I only have 2, explained Alice, and that is quite enough for me. Is it really, little girl? Grunted the spider. When I look at you with my many eyes, I can see 4 legs. Do you mean my arms? Asked the pretty girl in the school uniform. I would certainly have to learn how to walk on my hands if my arms were legs. Alice scratched her head. But I suppose you are right. I do have 4 legs after all. Supposing that this is the case, and my hands are feet, she paused. So what kind of a spider are you? I am a black widow, the arachnid replies. What is a rat kid? Asked Alice. A rat kid is a teenage rent boy, explained the spider. I know what a rent boy is. I'm really not that naive, sighed Alice, loosening her school tie. She undid the top button of her white school blouse. I'm really not quite sure why people call girls' shirts blouses, sighed the teenager. Don't change the subject, sniggers the spider. What is a rent boy? Clever clogs. Alice sat down and folded her arms. A rent boy is who a gay man pays for bum sex when he does not have enough money to buy a boyfriend. The spider nodded. Men are very expensive to look after, she agreed. Most of my husbands were lazy buggers, too bone idle to do a day's work. Oh, I almost forgot, apologised Alice. You are a widow. I really am so sorry for your loss. I suppose that is why you are always wearing black. That is why. Fucking hell, I spoke a spelling mistake. Spoke a mistake. That's why you're always wearing black. Sorry, hold a minute. Alright. Think nothing of it, child, the spider reassured her. My husbands were never very much use anyway. All of the buggers had 8 arms, but not one of the bastards ever lifted a finger. Unless they were drinking alcohol, of course. How did they all die? Asked the pretty teenage schoolgirl. I ate them, laughed the black widow spider. How revolting. Well, they never put food on the table, explained the widow. Did you kill them first? Asked the small girl. Alice was still very tiny. Of course not, sniggered the spider. I was so hungry at the time that I didn't have the energy to kill them. So, you ate them alive? Alice gulped. The black widow spider raised her eyelids to the sky. Well, I had to eat something. Why didn't you just catch flies in your web like other spiders? Too much like hard work, laughed the small black arachnid. Alice scratched her spotless chin. Hang on. This has only just occurred to me. Can't read a fucking thing. What is a black widow spider doing in a sink in England? I climbed up through the plug hole, explained the spider. My name is Sheila, by the way, she added. I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance. My name is Alice, replied Alice, obviously. Where do you come from? Asked the tiny teenage girl. From the land down under, explained Sheila. I've been to Wonderland twice, boasted Alice, but I'm quite sure that I have never been to Down Underland. I suppose all the people underneath us would have to walk upside down, or they would probably fall off the ground and high up into space, unless they walked on their hands, I suppose. That is what gravity is for, huh? To keep our feet on the ground, so that we don't all fall off the planet. Otherwise our heads would always be stuck up in the clouds, and our brains would be so full of beautiful dreams that our legs wouldn't know what to do unless we were thinking on our feet, of course. You think too much, commented the spider. I've been through the looking glass too. Alice was very proud of herself. The writing there is back to front and the pictures hang the wrong way round on the wall. Send me a postcard next time, suggested the black widow spider. Why don't you come with me and I will take you to Down Underland. It isn't quite the same as Wonderland, but I think you might have a little fun. How do we get there? Asked Alice. I'll spin a web to the taps and a long line of thread, and we can climb down the plug hole, explained Sheila. Alice scratched her head and rubbed her eyes. I just realised something. I can see clearly now that I'm very small. Maybe that is because I'm short-sighted, and I suppose because I'm so tiny now, my eyes must be shorter too. My life is rather strange sometimes. Come along, we have a long journey ahead of us, Sheila smiled. Let's go for a spin, little girl. I may be small, but I'm not a little girl. I'm 16, insisted Alice. She stood up. Anyway, I thought black widow spiders were a lot bigger than you are. In fact, I'm certainly certain that one could not fit down a plug hole. I watched a program about spiders on television once. The black widow spider on the screen was the size of a man's hand. Aren't you a little bit small? And how tall are you? Asked Sheila, waving her web between her legs. Alice shrugged her shoulders and raised her right hand over her head, trying to work out her height as she leant against the plug chain. I suppose it must be about 1 centimetre tall at the moment, she guessed. Well, aren't you a little small to be a teenage girl? I shrunk, explained Alice. Ditto, laughed the spider. How else do you think I could have managed to clamber up through the water pipes in the first place? It must have been a very long journey. I'm just glad that I had enough web thread to make the climb. Come on then, climb onto my back, Sister Sheila. I think I've spun enough thread now to make our descent. Alice held her arms tightly around the spider's chest, and Sheila squeezed through the plug hole. Down and down they went, the spider weaving her thread longer and longer as they travelled down the drainage pipe, down and down until they came to a U-bend in the dark, damp tube. "Oh dear," sighed Alice. "Now we are at the bottom, how are we going to climb the other side?" There was a loud, thunderous metallic roar high above their heads. A screeching, piercing, scraping sound echoed through the drainage pipe. Alice was very worried. "Oh dear, I think somebody up there must be turning a tap." And indeed Alice was right, for no sooner had the words left her lips when a fountain of hot water splashed onto her head, soaking the two travellers to the skin, the swirling torrent almost drowning the poor girl and the spider, the force of the water pushing the two friends through the U-bend and up the other side and round another bend, like a barrel falling over a waterfall or a boat being swept along by the rapid waves of a river. Down and down they tumbled, gasping for breath, as the pipes twisted left and down and then left again. "This is just like the water slide in the amusement park," thought Alice to herself inside her head. Flop went Sheila, the spider, as the cascade of water forced the pair out of the pipe and down the drain at the side of Alice's house. As quick as a flash, the spider shot a line of silken thread up to the grill, covering the drain, and there the two friends dangled, millimetres above the thick, smelly brown water of the sewer, their lives, quite literally, hanging by a thread. "Phew! That was too close for comfort," sighed Alice, still clasping her hands around Sheila's chest. The spider breathed a heavy sigh. "It would seem that our lives are going down the drain."